Good Wednesday morning, everybody. At least we found something to laugh about today, right?
Yeah. Well, so this morning on
Yes.
News 10 Today, if you were watching at the very end, Taylor and I were having a conversation and our microphone was on, but all you heard on air was Taylor saying, "What are you talking about? And do you want me to spill the beans about what we were talking about?"
Yes.
Halloween Oreos.
You love Halloween Oreos.
That was what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And she brought some on set, and that's what's over here. See, Matt just brought them in. People have been eating them because I will take these home and eat the rest. So I like that people are eating them because then that's less that I'll eat,
Okay.
right? So that is, it's been a day. It's been a morning.
So there's 5 spooky designs. Okay. And it's
You've
not...
never had these?
Yes, but I didn't know that they had different designs. I don't look at the design.
Yeah, like they have
I
like,
twist it open and I
I
eat
think
it.
some have like a ghost on it and maybe a spider.
Okay.
10 out of 10, love these things. And someone messaged me on my Facebook page saying they agree.
Good.
So there we go.
All right. Well, I know a lot of people are waking up this morning, watching them talk about Oreos, but they're also waking up to some storm damage from yesterday. And when we were over here yesterday, Justin and I, we were saying, yes, the storms could pop up and everything, but they really came through Michigan.
Yeah, and it was such a tricky forecast too, because not a lot of our computer models honestly had a lot of storms coming through at all. At all. But the experts at the Storm Prediction Center had us in that slight risk, and it did definitely pan out for the thunderstorms that we saw. It was a line that actually ended up congealing into a line and then moved all the way through the state. So I know there was some damage over in Metro Detroit.
Yeah, a lot of power outages and schools closed.
From the same line of storms. And I was at home, and it was pretty bad where I live, and the trees were blowing around. But it's all a thing of the past, which is some good news. And, I wanted to talk about 2 things here, is the fact that the storm chances are down,
Okay.
but then also our temperatures are not as warm, which is going to be such a huge relief because yesterday was absolutely brutal. Some of the highest dew points and some of the highest heat index values that we see around here.
Triple digits for
Yeah, I
the most
believe
part.
Lansing peaked around 107 at some point yesterday in the heat index category, and a lot of that was because the dew point was in the mid to upper 70s, so it was super humid. And you know what's something else that we could also talk about at some point? I need to do more research on it, but some of the high humidity that we saw yesterday and today, I mean, it's still pretty humid out today, is actually from corn. Have you heard this?
No.
So corn actually sweats and it releases moisture into the atmosphere. And so much so because if you think about it, all the fields right now are full of corn.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but a good chunk of
Yeah.
them are full of that. So it's leading to more humidity being in the air. And this happens a lot over kind of in Iowa, Nebraska, where they just have those huge giant fields covering most of the state. So that's actually...
It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's very... Corn sweat is what it's called.
Sounds so gross,
Because,
but yeah.
well, I saw a meteorologist on Facebook put like a plastic bag over the corn and you leave it for a while and then you literally can see the sweat and the water
Like
forming.
beading down?
Yes. It's very interesting. So that may have played a role a bit with the high humidity that we saw the past couple of days. But let's show you the graphic here. I had to update this graphic because we're now up to 4 90-degree days on the year. So yesterday and Monday were 2. So that brings us up closer to average, but still the least amount of 90-degree days since 2015. But the good news is that heat is gone. So today, likely upper 70s, some of us in the lower to middle 80s, but I think for the most part, it's going to feel a lot better outside today. Not near as, well, it's still pretty humid, but not quite as humid and not quite as warm. So we're not going to have the repeat of the heat index values being up into the hundreds. Today, probably stuck in the 80s. So still a bit warm, but it is a thing that we're going to be tracking still, because we're going to remain pretty warm the next few days, remaining in the 80s. I think Friday, probably the warmest day moving forward with temperatures in the mid 80s. And then as we get into the holiday weekend, we actually start to cool down. In fact, the forecast, which I'll show you at the end of this, on Labor Day itself is looking fall-like, to say the least. So
I like it.
it will be cooling down in a very big way. But obviously, like we mentioned with the severe storms that we saw yesterday, just took some of the pictures that were sent in on our website from Okemos, Ovid. We saw damage, in a lot of areas yesterday with those storms. So I just wanted to show you that all the storms are out of here. We actually did see one storm that moved through parts of the area last night, but that again has since moved away, and we're pretty quiet, but we're going to be stuck with a lot of cloud cover today. And it is still possible that we see an isolated shower or thunderstorm this afternoon, but I think for the most part, a lot of us will stay dry. But then the next chance for rain that we'll really have to watch out for is on Friday. So Friday obviously is a big day in East Lansing with the NSU football game, so a lot of people are paying attention to the forecast, and we are closely monitoring it as well. But it looks like we'll have a cold front that's going to come in on Friday, and that potentially could be bringing us some more showers and thunderstorms, and some of those storms could be on the strong side as well for Friday. So that's everything that we're going to need to keep an eye on. A lot of tailgating going on, a lot of outdoor activities, and things like that for the MSU game. So we'll be monitoring that forecast very closely. The holiday weekend, too, obviously a lot of people want to know about that forecast. It looks like Sunday we could see a stray shower, but I think for the most part the weekend will be dry. So let's show you all of this with the hour-by-hour forecast, starting with today. An isolated shower or thunderstorms possible this afternoon, but I think most of us stay dry, like I mentioned, and then we should clear out as we head into tonight. And I think Thursday overall is going to be a really nice-looking day. We may start off with some clouds or maybe some patchy fog, but then by the afternoon we'll break out into some sunshine, and temperatures will be in the 80s. So it should be a nice summer day, but then like I mentioned, attention will turn to Friday, and we are giving you a first alert because we have been included in a marginal risk for severe weather by the Storm Prediction Center. So that's a level 1 out of 5. So that's a level lower than yesterday.
Okay.
But still, we got to keep an eye on it because there is the potential. But it will be dependent on, we're going to have a cold front that's going to come in on Friday, and when that front arrives. If it happens early in the day, our severe chance is rather low. That would be good news for people with the MSU game. But if it does happen in the afternoon or maybe even the evening, then we may see some stronger thunderstorms out there. And obviously any lightning of any kind for the game obviously would impact things. So it's a forecast that we'll have to watch for the next several days or next couple of days as we get closer to it. It does look like we'll get some rain, some showers and storms, but depending on when it happens is kind of the main thing that we're going to be watching out for on Friday. But then after that cold front comes through, that's the one that's really going to bring relief from the humidity. It's also going to bring in some cooler temperatures for the weekend. So our muggy meter definitely shows some improvements as we head into the weekend. And I think next week even more so, as we'll see some cooler air work its way in. So obviously it's the holiday weekend getting here, but we kind of see our temperatures fall each day. I think Saturday overall is the nicest day of the weekend.
Okay.
Sunday, we're still in the 70s. Maybe a stray shower is possible. That kind of got added to the forecast. It looks like there could be a weak system that comes in on Sunday. But then look at the forecast for the holiday itself on Monday.
I love that.
71. So it is going to be much cooler as we head towards the holiday itself. But hey, this doesn't look too bad if you wanted to do any activities out on the water. I think the weather should cooperate for the most part this weekend. But obviously it's going to be feeling a little bit cooler if you want to be out on the lake on Monday. But yeah, weekend not looking too bad, I don't think. And travel plans too looking good, except for maybe Friday when we have those showers and storms that are possible.
It's a nice drive home if you're coming back on Monday too.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really see any weather-related issues. And it's just incredible to me, and this is another Michigan thing, right? So we're going to go from a heat index of 107 yesterday, and then in less than a week, we could be seeing temperatures in the 40s because the overnight low Monday night and Tuesday night of next week are in the 40s. So it's just, you give it a week and you're going to be dropping, what is that, 60 degrees, which is just insane. Well, I guess air temperature wise, you know, I guess that analogy doesn't, it feels like it's in the 60s, but then no, hang on. It feels like it's in the hundreds, then it'll feel like it's in the 40s. So our feels like
drop 60.
60, not the temperature.
Well, as you're planning, we're like Colton said, we're watching Friday with the timing and everything. If you're planning on your day around the MSU game, tailgating, whatnot, great idea to download the First Alert Weather app.
And you know, one of the cool tools that we have with with the News 10 First Alert Weather app is that we can send location-specific push alerts. And I actually did this not too long ago where it was impacting something in the Lansing area, and you can just send it out to people who are in the Lansing area. So I would suspect that as we get to Friday with the game, that we'll probably be doing something similar if you are going to be heading there. So the News 10 First Alert Weather app is a great, great tool. Not only is radar in there, but Futurecast and push notifications and all the things that you need are in that app. And it's free to download in the Google Play and App Store. So make sure you download it today, and we will be keeping you updated for the Friday forecast in the app more than anywhere else.
It helped me out a lot driving home I went to Grand Blanc yesterday and was coming back pretty late. It helped me out finding what roads were ponding because the storms had moved through and everything. So there were spots that I knew I had to avoid because this street had like some pretty significant ponding on it, and you didn't want to go through that water. So it helped me out a lot yesterday too. So.
Yeah, and it's a very useful app, and sometimes I use it too. So it's great to have.
And you can send photos and videos straight from the app, which is super easy.
Yeah, and I know that we got a lot of photos sent in from yesterday, which is very useful. You can also find school closings in the app, and we actually had a few school closings this morning because of power outages.
That's all across the state too, Grand Rapids and Detroit as well. Joseph wanted to know how the weather is going to be for Saturday. You said that's probably going to be the nicest day.
I think it's the nicest day of the weekend because there's no chance for rain on Saturday, and we'll have pretty comfortable temperatures, 82. Not a ton of humidity either, so that's definitely the day to get outside and enjoy it for this Labor Day weekend. But not saying that you can't for Sunday and Monday, but if you're looking for some summertime temperatures and nice weather, I think overall Saturday's the day to do it.
All right. Hopefully we answered your question on that, Joseph. You are taking off because you've been here all morning.
Yes.
So we'll have Justin in for News 10 today at 11. David Andrews is filling in for Taylor Gattoni today. And we're going to be following some of these big stories from the day. Of course, tracking all that storm damage and any power outages that we may have, plus the school closings that are due to that because they've lost power or they just don't have the air conditioning, anything like that. That was a problem earlier this week, was it was so hot. Now schools are out because they don't have power. So eventually we'll have a first full week of school, you know, maybe after Labor Day, but.
Yeah, it won't be next week because a lot of people are off on Mondays, so
all right,
maybe the next week.
We'll get there. We're also going to be checking out the mosquitoes, how they come around with all of this crazy weather. We're going to talk about the different illnesses mosquitoes can bring, triple E, malaria, West Nile. 2 of those 3 have been found in Michigan, so we're going to be breaking that down. And as you're checking your bills from running your air conditioning all week, we're going to talk about the BWL rate hike that was approved. So that's what we're working on today.
Lots going on.
A whole lot going on. Colton's going to take off. Thank you so much for working all morning and helping out. And a couple other people, Tamara, Joseph, thank you guys for tuning in and watching and asking your questions. We really appreciate it. Hello to Chris from East Lansing. Thanks for tuning in. And we're going to be back here around 2 o'clock with another check of your weather and what our reporters are working on. So stay tuned for that. Until then, have a great Wednesday, everybody. Hold on.